Ladies and gentlemen, welcome and welcome back to the show. My name is Brad Hughesby. Today, I'm going over some of the top targets in Notre Dame's 2023 recruiting class. So far, have four guys committed: Cooper Flanagan, Adon Schuler, Keon Keeley, and Brennan Vernon. These four guys are all studs. Three on the defensive side of the ball, one on the offensive. Of course, your class is not going to just have four people. You'll have at least 15 to 20. Notre Dame's smallest class as of late, I believe it was 18 players in the class of 2020. Last year's class was 27 or 28. So these numbers change. They're fluid. If I'd expect it to probably be in the low 20s next year, but so far this class is looking special. All these guys ranked in the top 170 compositely, or top 200, compositely. I think Adon Schuler might be exactly 200 or a little bit below, but just a fabulous class so far. You're watching Justice Haynes' sophomore highlights, by the way. Notre Dame's top running back target. He will be visiting for the University of Southern California game on October 23rd. Georgia, Stanford, Bama, LSU, Ohio State are a few others involved, but I think this one comes down to probably LSU, Ohio State, Georgia, and Notre Dame. I'm not sure he's a take for Bama at this point. Honestly, I could see this coming down to Georgia, Notre Dame more specifically. Very high academic kid, values the degree he's going to get. Georgia's a good degree. Notre Dame's different. Football, both powerhouse schools, but his father did play at Georgia. Picks are currently in for the Bulldogs, but this recruitment can really go any way. If I had to make a pick right now, I'd say Georgia, but Notre Dame's probably running second or third, and a good visit to the USC game at the end of October could be major. Next running back on the board is Jaden Lamar. I think him and Cedric Irvin are probably playing option two, These are probably the only other two notable running backs that have been offered that have high interest in Notre Dame. Lamar is from the state of Washington. Picks are in for Washington. I could see him going there. I think they lead right now, but he's going to try to get out to South Bend for a game. Not sure which one, but if he does get out to the Bend, things can change. Visits really, really matter. Follow the visits. They do pay dividends. Next, Cedric Irvin, Southern Florida kid, Gulliver Prep down in Miami. His father played ball for the Spartans of Michigan State. He was at the Notre Dame Florida State game this past Sunday. Loved his time there. Actually made a TikTok. Some of you guys definitely don't know what TikTok is. It's pretty much another social media to go alongside Twitter, Instagram, that kind of stuff. He was dancing in Florida State gear, and a bunch of college football pages all on Instagram and Twitter were saying, this is why Florida State lost. Just kind of a joke. But Cedric Irvin, I think Florida State's up there, Michigan State's up there. Stanford, he's really high on. Oregon as well. Miami, Notre Dame. Those are probably an unofficial top six. I think Notre Dame is right in this one. He saw what the Irish did. He loves Kyron Williams and Chris Tyree. They'd use him like Chris Tyree, especially he's a speed guy. I think Notre Dame's probably running second or third right now, but with a good visit, I could see them landing a commitment. We'll move to the defensive backfield. Justin Rhett is who we'll talk about first, a kid who was planning on committing this past summer, didn't do that, still open. Notre Dame's in the top group of schools. Bama, LSU, a few of those SEC schools are also really high on his list. This one, I was hoping it'd be wrapped up. It wasn't. So we'll see what happens, but this recruitment could get dicey. Notre Dame, though, I think leads. When I say dicey, I just think other schools could pull ahead, but he will be on campus this fall. And Marcus Freeman, Chad Bowden, and Mike Mickens hope to wrap this one up. He is a cornerback target for anyone curious. Next, we'll talk about A.J. Harris, priority cornerback target from Alabama, formerly lived in California and Germany. Georgia, Bama, Ohio State, Clemson, Notre Dame are probably his top five. Clemson's really high up there. Notre Dame is high up there. His father grew up in Gary, Indiana. He's a big Irish fan. Loved his visit, but I honestly think Clemson and Georgia probably lead the pack right now, but Notre Dame is right there. If he can get on campus this fall, that would be major. He's trying to, possibly for the USC game. That's Notre Dame's big recruiting weekend, the USC weekend. If you can get there, that would be huge. And Notre Dame is pretty much telling all their targets, get here for that. If not, North Carolina and Cincinnati are fine too. And even Toledo. They have a few guys visiting for Toledo, but the biggest games are the USC, North Carolina, and Cincinnati game. Next, we'll touch on Malik Muhammad, who's in the thumbnail. He had the helmet on. He is a stud. Near 5-star, 43 overall, according to 247 Sports in the 2023 class. Played ball at IMG for his sophomore season, but transferred back home to Texas. He said, you know what, I did what I need to do at IMG. I'm coming back home. Texas A&M, Texas, and Notre Dame are probably his top 3 at this point. I honestly think Notre Dame leads. If I had to make a pick, I'd put it in for Notre Dame. And with a good visit, he's visiting for the Cincinnati game on October 2nd. I could see a commitment. This one is really looking good for Notre Dame, but Texas A&M and Texas are right there too. And I bet some other schools pop up and push as the time goes on. Next, probably the number 1 target on Notre Dame's board, Sonny Styles, 5-star linebacker from Pickerington Central High School in Columbus, Ohio. His brothers, of course, Lorenzo Styles, backup slot receiver for the Irish. Styles is a freak. I have nothing else to say. He's a freak. He's probably a top 5 or 6 player in the country. I'd probably say behind Arch Manning, David Hicks from Texas, Caden Proctor is another big Notre Dame target. I think Sonny Styles is probably the 4th or 5th best player in the country. He is just a freak. I think he's a pretty, I don't like to say this, but I think he's a surefire 1st or 2nd round pick if everything goes okay in college. Now, if everything goes great, boy, he could be the number 1, number 2, number 3 overall pick. This kid is just so talented, and he's special. He's very special. Drake Bowen is next, another very special kid. I think this one is all Notre Dame. Sure, Auburn and Clemson are there as well, but I think the only school that really poses a threat is Clemson. He'll visit there in a few weeks, but he just wants to compare schools, I think. I think this one's on Notre Dame. Marcus Freeman and him have a great relationship, and Notre Dame's always been his dream school. So I'll talk about one more guy before I wrap this up. We'll go to Carnell Tate. Everyone wants to hear about him. Just announced that he's pushing back his decision date. Not sure what the date is. Reportedly he knows, but we don't. That's good for Notre Dame. He was planning on visiting Notre Dame for the Cincinnati game on October 2nd. He was going to commit that next weekend, October 8th, because he's home. IMG has a little bit of a fall break, a few bye weeks. Well, most people thought he'd visit Ohio State that weekend when they play at home. That's not the case. Maybe he will, but at least he's not going to commit the day before because this one's looking OSU right now. I'll be honest. This gives Dell, Tommy, and Brian Kelly a lot more time. Could it be, I don't know, next fall, next summer, next spring, even this winter? I don't know, but this one is going to be crazy until he gets on campus. This is just one of the best recruitments to follow in the country. He's probably the number 1 offensive guy to watch on the board. This is who Brian Kelly and Tommy Rees want the most. You can argue Caden Proctor and Dante Moore and Justice Haynes, but at the end of the day, I think Carnell Tate is the number 1 guy they want on offense. Sonny Styles on defense. This will be an interesting recruitment to follow for sure. I'll keep you guys updated. But right now, I think Ohio State leads. That's my verdict. If I had to put a percentage, I'd say probably 70-30 Ohio State and then Notre Dame 30. But we'll see. Some good news on September 1st. He hopped on, I believe, 2 Zoom calls with Tommy Rees, and one of them, Dante Moore, Michigan quarterback, was on. So I'll leave that there. Thank you guys for watching. I appreciate all the support. Make sure you like and subscribe, comment. I respond to every comment, and that is it for me.